Thank you, Sandy. That's awesome. Thank you. So good morning. This thing is working here. Got sound. So let's talk leadership, sales, and strategy. In fact, we're not just going to talk about it. We're going to experience some leadership, sales, and strategy here this morning. So I'm not talking about leadership in the sense of title, position, or authority. I'm talking about, do you create a culture of leadership? And how well do you convey where you are right now and paint that picture of the vision in the future? Sales. And right now, we're not going to talk about the sales transaction or interaction. I want you to think about your entire business, your entire operation, every single touch point that you have. How have you designed and developed that engine, that sales machine every single day? And then how do you connect the daily actions to get to that vision utilizing that sales? And strategy. And I'm not talking about strategy in the sense of just setting a goal. I'm talking about the key decisions that you make that take your greatest strengths and align them with your greatest market opportunities so that way you can have a competitive advantage now and in the future. Leadership, sales, and strategy. This is the essential three. Consider for a second a metaphor. This block on it has the word vision. And this is where we want to be. This is where we want to go. You can reframe that to some big goal that you have. And on the opposite side of this block, maybe what's keeping you from it. What's keeping your organization from it? What's keeping you from it? And what challenges or blocks stand in your way from getting there? We'll come back to this. At the top, you see results. And so often we say, hey, we want these results, and we need to create this level of accountability to get them. In the front of all your tables there are some little pieces of paper at the very front that have a staple in the upper left-hand corner. Everyone go ahead and grab one now. Pass them out. There's enough at every table. Just keep the blank page right up front, stapled in the upper left-hand corner. Grab a pen. Those packets are right at the front of everyone's table facing towards the stage. So over here, they're right towards the front, correct. In fact, you can even start creating this pyramid on this page and fill it in as we go along. You can just place results at the top and accountability right below it. And we'll talk about not just the isolation of leadership, sales, and strategy. We're going to talk about the integration, the alignment of leadership, sales, and strategy. Because we all want results, and sometimes to create that accountability, we say to people, well, you better do this or else. And if that doesn't work, we say, this is the number we want to achieve. Get it done. And we just get louder with accountability. What we know is that louder accountability does not create greater accountability. It just becomes a louder voice. So on your next page, go to a blank page there. Everyone draw a rectangle. Go ahead. Draw a rectangle on any of the blank pages. It's okay to participate. No one's going to watch your rectangle. Put a circle in the middle of the rectangle. Place a circle on top and a circle on the bottom. So you'll have a rectangle, a circle in the middle, a circle on top, a circle on the bottom. Has everyone got it? You want me to say it one more time? Is everyone crystal clear on it? Crystal, I heard it, crystal. Okay, So this is what we're looking for, a rectangle with a circle in the middle, circle on the top, and a circle on the bottom. Everyone show your page to your neighbor. So what went wrong? Let me see the pages. Okay, hold them up, hold them up. How many drew a triangle? See, we had several triangles out there because the triangle was just up there. Happens all the time. We had a dozen triangles in the room. And I'm not pointing at your geometry, but it happens. The mind just saw a triangle up there, right? And so it gets on the page. But how come we don't have traffic lights? What went wrong?
Bad directions.
Bad directions. That Michael, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Okay? What else should I have done? I should have told you the circles need to be inside the box. What else should I have done? I should have told you the orientation. Michael, you need to tell us if you want it vertical or horizontal. How many drew horizontal by a show of hands? Just raise your hands. Okay, pretty much everybody. Okay, what else should I have done? I could have told you the vision. Just a traffic light, right? What else should I have done? You guys are shitting all over me now. Come on, keep shitting on me. I should have said same size circle. So was I clear on my communication? Who's responsible for that breakdown in communication? Wow. You guys are really quick to hold me accountable, aren't you? Where else does that show up? I even sat down as I repeated them 3 times. Are you sure? Are you crystal clear? We have 100 people plus in the room. How many hands went up? Go ahead and count for me. So is there some responsibility on both of our parts? Where else do we think that we've painted the vision, shared the goal, and we think that everybody is on the same page? It happens every single day, and I promise your business is more complicated than a rectangle and 3 circles. Would you agree? Yes. But we'll share and we assume. Why don't we ask questions? Why didn't it turn into two-way dialogue, even with the pause at the end? Are we sure we're on the same page? Why? Anyone? Didn't know the vision. Why else? Why don't we ask more questions? Why didn't there turn in one hand go up? Didn't know it was available to us. That's a huge, great insight because it happens in company cultures, right? Why else?
Well, we don't want to look like we're misinformed. We don't know what's going on.
Yeah, we don't want to look stupid. Is that true? So it happens all the time. Here it is. The question is the answer. As leadership, one of the first things that you can walk out of here is start asking better questions and get your team and your culture asking better questions. Because until that happens, until everybody knows it's okay, there will be a leadership impact throughout that organization. And you will have a problem driving that vision. At the very foundation of this leadership is about you creating that culture. So everyone go ahead and fill this in. It's trust. Fill it in right there. Trust. Let's talk more about this. If someone doesn't know the vision, can they trust the vision? If there's a lack of trust in the organization, will it impact people's ability and willingness to communicate and collaborate? Will it? Yes, it will. There will be an immediate and direct impact if there is a breakdown in trust to people being willing to raise their hand and ask the question. And therefore, we'll get back up there and we'll say, well, we wanted traffic lights. And I'm going to hold you accountable to that. I told you what needed to be done. But without those bottom 2 layers, without the foundation of that, there will always be a breakdown in the results that you achieve. Leadership is about making sure that we're establishing that foundation of trust, opening up that communication and collaboration. And when we do that, it also builds more trust. There is a reciprocal relationship that takes place. You know, I'll share a real story with you. A while back, had a very profound experience. My executive assistant of my previous company that I owned invited me to have her son was playing in a play with King Arthur and he was playing Merlin. I was a fan, so I decided to go watch the play. Well, after the play, whole bunch of the kids, about a dozen kids, and parents went back to Barb's house. And we were just hanging around, having a drink in the backyard. I was talking to one of the dads. He goes, you know, Michael, I went through your leadership course, and it had a huge impact on my life. And particularly, there was a process where you had a board break. He goes, that process really impacted me because on one side of the board, I wrote the things that I wanted in the future. And on the other side, I wrote down all the things that were keeping me from it, my blocks to leadership, my blocks to achieving it. He goes, can you do that process where you help my son break a board? I said, well, how old's your son? He goes, he's 10. I said, I'm sure I could do it with him. I've never done it with a 10-year-old before. We do it with adults, and we have a teen program. But, not for a 10-year-old, but sure, I'm sure I could do it with him. He goes, great, let me go get my son. I go, well, what do you mean, go get your son? We don't have any wood. He goes, oh, yes, we do. He goes, you guys had a lot of extra at your company, and so Barb has a whole bunch in her back shed that she was using for firewood. Let me go get my son. And before I could stop him, too late. Comes back with his son, and we have a conversation about achieving a goal of his. We didn't use the word vision, but we talked about what was one goal that he wanted. And we got into a conversation about it. He goes, I don't want to talk about my goal. I just want to break my wood. I said, then we're not doing it. There's got to be a purpose behind this. When you think about maybe some of those things that are keeping you from it. And so as we got into this conversation and we started to talk, and I could see he was getting more intense and more ready for it, I put this board in front of him. We talked about, do you really want this? Do you really want it? Yeah, I want it. Are you serious? Is that really important? Yeah, he goes, I really want this. I want to achieve this goal. Are you ready? Yeah, I want it. And his face just changed. His eyes changed. His focus was there. Bam! He broke his board. It was so incredible. He was so proud. But I got so into this moment with his son. I turned around, and there were a dozen kids with boards in their hands. They had already grabbed theirs and lined up. I'm like, this is going to be a very long night. And one by one that day, that evening, had a chance to help some kids break through to their vision, to break their boards. And I got all kinds of things. I want to be a professional ball player. In fact, Barb's son said, I want to be a news anchor. One little girl says, I want an A in math. That was her goal. That wasn't for me to judge. That was what she wanted. And she believed it. One said, I want to hit my first home run in baseball. I go, wow, that's awesome. I'm happy to say that every one of those 12 kids that night broke their boards, and they did not let it go out of their hands. It was like it was glued to their fingertip. And what did it represent to them? Their dreams, their passions, doing what they love. And so this setup that we had here became very profound with a simple board and a couple cinder blocks to break through. What's your breakthrough in your company? What's your breakthrough to bring your company to the next level? And how will you make sure sales are happening at every single touch point, from the person that's answering the phone to every single piece of media that's coming out to how people look? Every single touch point is part of that sales machine. It's funny when someone from finance or accounting says, well, I don't impact close ratio. Oh, yes, you do. If we don't have good numbers and we can't reinvest and we can't do the things to market and we don't have cash at the end of the day, you impact close ratio. We all do through that sales machine. So when we talk about sales, one of the biggest things that happen is that people do not know their roles and responsibilities within every area of the company. Once again, I'm not just talking about the person that's titled sales. I'm talking about every person understanding what to do, how to do it, and the why behind what they're doing, connecting to that vision. If we did not have that foundation of trust and the communication where people understood their roles and responsibilities, how would we expect them ever to get committed? It's the commitment that you can feel within an organization. When something goes wrong, do you know when someone's committed? I say when you know when someone's not committed, when it's 5 minutes to 5 and they got their track shoes on ready to run out the door, right? Can you see commitment? Can you feel commitment? You bet you can. Do you know when someone's committed to the goal or committed to the vision? Absolutely. And as we begin to align leadership and sales, we begin to take it to another level. Let's do another activity. We're going to talk about some numbers. Flip over the page. You'll see a bunch of numbers on there. Talk a little bit about strategy. As you see some scattered numbers on there in just a moment, everyone look up here at me. You are going to find the number 1 and put the letter A next to it. The number 2 and put the letter B next to it. The number 3 and put a letter C and then D. All the way up to the number 26, the letter Z. When you get to number 27, you're going to start again and go A. And then 28 will be B. All the way through until you get to the number 40. All the way through. Everyone, this is about making sure you're going to work quickly, but you're going to work accurately. The combination of both. With that combination. So everyone get their pen ready, find the number 1, and go. Put an A, and then a B, and then a C. Raise your hand when you're done. You can keep going. I'm going to hit stop and the reset button. So we can just talk about this. So first hands went up, around the minute 10, between minute 30. There's a couple hands that went up on our minute 30. Majority of hands started popping up closer after 2.5 minutes. And then some of the rest of those hands came up even towards the 3.5, 4 minute mark, and a couple still working. It's fine. Again, there's no wrong answers in here. So if we were to take an average there, we're looking somewhere around the 3 minute mark, okay? Without actually writing down all the numbers and calculating it, somewhere around the 3 minute mark. So what did it feel like to do that and have to go through and find those numbers? What was it like? What's that? Painful and anxious. So just finding some numbers can be painful and anxious. I love that. That's perfect. Who else had a feeling? What's that? It was fun. Okay, so we had some people fun. What was it like over here? Yeah. It felt like giving up halfway. Okay, it can feel chaotic, right? Not having a good alignment. So we did talk a little bit about strategy. Is that fair? So when you have a good strategy, does it make people feel differently? Sure it does. So what we call there is being out of alignment. So when we showed the palm earlier, we're talking about getting people in alignment. Performance-aligned leadership model. Everyone aligning towards a common vision, common goal, as opposed to right there feels out of alignment, feels chaotic. Feels like we're going in different directions. And in an organization, when you go in different directions, things fall through the cracks because people are not on the same page. We all have experienced that. And when you're not on the same page, it creates stress. It creates people that want to give up in those situations. They're real feelings. So we got to create focus and strategy. Is that fair? So we can broaden the vision, but we got to narrow the focus. And when we narrow the focus, we begin to execute at a different level. There is actually a pattern to that. Take the next numbers page, and I want you to fold it in quadrants, just like you see on the screen. Fold it in quadrants. I will do it with you. Fold it perfectly in half, and then fold it perfectly in half again. And you will have 4 perfect quadrants. Just go ahead and leave it closed. Hold it up when you got it folded so I can see that everyone is there. So you have perfectly folded form, just like you see on the screen here. Now there is a pattern here. There is a process here. There is a strategy here. If you look, and we'll look on the screen, and looking for the number 1, does everyone see it in the bottom right-hand corner? Number 2 is going to be in the bottom left-hand corner. 3 is going to be in the upper left-hand corner. 4 is going to be in the upper right corner, and so on and so forth. It will move clockwise throughout the entire thing. You no longer need to look through the whole page. You simply find the number and then go around in a circle and execute the strategy. This time also, it's not necessary to label them A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way through Z. Because sometimes we do things in organizations because we've always done them that way, and they're no longer useful for executing the strategy. And we got to be willing to get rid of things that do not serve us as a business, that serve us in life. And so with the streamlining of the process, you're going to find the one and just slash or check quick, and then 2, and then 3, and then 4, and then 5, and then 6, and 7, all the way through back to number 40. And as soon as you get there, you'll raise your hand again. Everyone open up their page. Get ready, and I'll start the stopwatch. Once again, the number 1 will start in the bottom right corner, and then all the way through, create a circle. Little quick slashes. Ready, set, and go. Quick slashes. Raise your hand when you're done. So from an average of 3 minutes, many going over 4 minutes, first hands went up now. Multiple hands went up around the 30-second mark. Tons more went up around 40-second, and literally 99% of the people's hands were up at the 1 minute mark. Is there an increase in productivity when you have a strategy? Yeah, hundreds of percent just by the simplest of strategies that you begin to execute, that everyone understands within the organization. And so with this final layer, it's called focused action. We don't want to be running in circles. We want to be moving in a forward direction towards that vision. So let's go throughout the entire performance-aligned leadership model, or PALM for short. As we talk about creating a foundation of trust as leaders and creating that culture and opening up two-way communication, we ensure that people are crystal clear of what that vision is going to be, that we want traffic lights, that this is exactly where we're going within the organization. And when we open up that type of communication, people understand their roles and responsibilities. Let's stop there for a second. We want to hold people accountable without developing their responsibility. Responsibility always precedes accountability. And when people understand their role and responsibility, they know what to do, how to do it, why to do it. That's when it's easy to get committed to what we have to get done. Get committed to the vision and to take the necessary action. And then as we develop the strategy, that people have a system and a process from which to execute. They understand from which all things flow from good decisions. They take the right focused action. Now it becomes natural team accountability. Accountability no longer becomes holding it over someone's head with a bat. It literally naturally shows up. And everyone starts to execute at a higher level, at 300% increases in productivity, and we get the results. We achieve the goal. We get the vision. You see? So often we talk about vision of someday, somewhere, somehow, we will get there. But today is always part of the vision. The big picture vision, where we're going. But we also need to know where we're going now, tomorrow, next week, next month, next quarter, next year. They are subsets of the vision. And unless we live the vision today, we don't work and move towards that vision. Let's come back to our board. Literally 2 days later, I'm driving down the I-10 in Phoenix, working with a client there. I receive a call on my cell phone from Barb. She goes, Michael, you know the kid that said he was going to hit his first home run? Well, he just did. He came running up to Barb in the stands and said, Barb, I broke my board and I hit my first home run. I did it. And I literally had to pull off to the side of the road as I sat there for a moment and realized what's the power of believing in that vision and being able to execute towards it. There was no separation from him from when he broke the board to when he actually did it 2 days later. It became one and the same. And you in your own life, and you in your own business, when you align leadership, sales, and strategy, there will be no separation either. You will hit your own home runs. Thank you.